Good Sunday morning to you. I just wanted to let you know what is going to be happening in these next 2 weeks. Now, before I do that, I wanted to refer you to your handbook. And when you are done with this college writing class, you certainly can sell or give away your textbook. There's probably no reason needed to keep that, but do keep the handbook. It will serve you so well in the future. I also am holding up a book. It's called The Prentice Hall Guide to Professional Writing, and it's actually fairly similar to our handbook, but it has extra tabs in it. As far as it has like a tab on public and professional writing, such as resumes, cover letters, web pages, memos, letters, proposals, and so on. So that's a pretty good one. And there's a handbook that I mentioned before. It's called HOW, and it's a handbook for office workers. And you can buy a used copy or even a new copy of an older edition on Amazon.com very inexpensively. And so it's good to have a handbook on hand to refer to, when you're writing. Sometimes you don't want to look online for everything. Of course, I refer to owl.english.purdue.edu, and I find that site to be helpful for all sorts of information that I'm doing. And I often, as far as if I need general information, I refer to www.refdesk.com. And if I need a famous quote, if I need other types of information, I believe they have a book on there called Gray's Anatomy and some others. I use that one, but they also have a site there's another site that I use quite often. It is www.bartleby.com, and that has a number of good reference sources on it. For this class, you should try to use EBSCOhost and LexisNexis from the WCCC library site. Those are really, really good to use, especially for the definition paper, which will be the third paper. Also, too, at the WCCC library site is the Oxford English Dictionary, which is a great source to use as far as the authoritative dictionary of the English language. So that is available there as well. When you get into your argumentative paper, you're going to be doing a pro-con type of paper where you look at an issue from two sides. And for something like that, you might want to use opposing viewpoints, which is also available at the WCCC library site. Now, what I wanted to tell you is if you try to get into EBSCOhost or LexisNexis and you cannot, it says you need to enter a password. What you actually need to do is click on the library guide. It's in the middle of the page when you click on the library tab, and then you can look on the very last page, and it shows you how to disable your cookies and also to lower your security settings so that you can log into EBSCOhost or LexisNexis. And LexisNexis is quite good. It's more of a legal type of source, but it covers a wide variety of issues. But I really like EBSCOhost because, you can just search specifically for full text articles. If you even wanted to find a specific periodical, you could find only that periodical. You could narrow down your focus. So it's a good way to search and find information. I encourage you to become familiar with those. If you do use the broader web, you can use Google, obviously, or Yahoo. But when you go to Google, you can type Google directory, and then Google will narrow down the focus of sources that it will find. So if you were searching for a medical topic, Google directory will give you that one. And then also at our library website, there are some websites that they recommend, like www.ipl.org, which is the Internet Public Library. A great place to look, great place for information. They have several others there, but there is, if you check on the link that says web brochure, it gives you a listing of some of those that are available to you. Additionally, do not use Wikipedia for a source in college writing. It's not a reliable, authoritative source. Anyone can, in essence, contribute to Wikipedia. I mean, some of the information is good, but some of it is not reliable. At the WCCC site, there is encyclopediabritannica.com. That is a great site because it has encyclopedia articles, it has recommended internet sites, it has periodicals, and it even has connections to EBSCOhost and LexisNexis. I think more EBSCOhost, but the good thing, as I said about that, it's a good starting place, and it can lead you to other types of sources. When you write a research paper, definitely consider starting an Encyclopedia Britannica because, like I said, it gives you a clearer focus and direction from the start. Now, something else that I wanted to mention to you is for this college writing class, we use the MLA style, which is the Modern Language Association style. And that is, we're going to get into that for the definition paper and the argument paper, but that's covered in Chapter 23, MLA documentation. And if you look through the chapter, they give a sample paper starting on page 283, Preventing Obesity in Children. And you can see how they do the in-text citations. Typically, it's just with the author's last name or author's last name and page number. Of course, they also give one like on page 286, like participation in quotes. That would be a site with no known author, and you're just using the first word of the title. For example, from a website or something like that. When you do in-text citations with the MLA, however you start the citation is how it needs to start off in works cited. And the other thing about it is the citations are a little bit shorter and a little bit less detailed to them. So you can take a look at that, and then at the very end of the paper on page 293 is the works cited page, and that's a listing of the sources in alphabetic order. And however you cite them in the paper, whether you cite them by the author, which you would prefer to do. If there's no author, then you go to the next thing, which would be the title. And if there is no title, then you would go to like the website name and so on. But that's however you cite them in the paper is how they need to be started in works cited. Now, if you've taken CPT 150 in Microsoft Word, and I'll just take a look at this right now. In Word, there is a section in there. It's called, well, you can use inserts, but you can also use the ones called references, okay? And then in the references, you can do insert citation, you can do the in-text citation, but there's also other information there as far as creating a works cited page. And you can look that up under Word Help, but it creates it for you. And of course, if you want to use one of these internet websites, as far as it generates a works cited page for you, that's fine. But I also wanted to mention to you on chapter 24, the APA style of documentation. When you look through that chapter, and I'm just going to the last page there, or not the last page, but page 319, where they give the sample APA, which is the American Psychological Association. And if you notice, there is a title page, there is an abstract to give an overview of the document, and then they have the paper set up. And notice in the right-hand corner, instead of using the author's last name and page number, they will use what's called a running heading rather, which use either the one or two words of the title. And if you notice, as you go through the in-text citations, they will have, for example, on page 322, they will have Whiting, comma, 2006. So oftentimes it will be cited by the author and the year, and you will also see others there. When they do page numbers, they'll have like Whiting, comma, P period 36, 2006. And so they will use P or PP period for page numbers and the year. And so they require a little bit more information. And then you'll see a reference page on page 329, and it looks a little bit different. But if you look on 331, they talk about formatting the references in the APA style. So I just wanted to mention that to you today. Now, I also wanted to get into the assignments that are coming due for Friday, the 18th of February by 4 o'clock p.m. Not by midnight, but 4 o'clock p.m. You need to submit quiz 1. It has to be in on time. It doesn't matter if your computer doesn't work or if the internet's not working or whatever. If you can, submit it by Thursday. Submit it sooner. Don't wait. So it's an open book test, and basically what you need to do is respond to questions on particular essays. And so it's pretty much straightforward, and I don't anticipate you will have a problem in doing it. And then if you look on the calendar for the week of the 25th, I actually am looking on the syllabus, and one of the assignments on there is actually one that we completed, and I think that was in describing a process for 2 different audiences, so we are ahead on that. So really the only thing that needs to be coming up for this Friday the 18th is quiz 1, and then by Monday, February 28th, and you can have until the end of the day, which means midnight on that, and that's the small town paper. And you obviously hope that you've been able to interview people, but you just need to interview someone who is under 30, between 30 and 50, and someone over 50. Try to find people from the different age groups, and all you're doing is just asking them the same 5 questions or so on how the town has changed over a certain number of years. It could be 10 years, 25 years, 50 years, 75, or even 100. And you just need to record what they said and indicate if you agree or disagree with some of their comments and conclusions. So that's really what it is. It's a straightforward paper, but that's how you write it. If you do want to send me a rough draft, which is not required, you can do it until the end of the day on Friday, February 25th. And so we will be completing paper 2 by the end of February, the last day of February. And then paper 3 will be definition, where you look at a word and you look at how different people have different definitions or meanings of that word. One very good one these days is marriage. Some people say marriage is between male and female, so of opposite sex. Some people further elaborate on it as marriage is meant to produce children, to create offspring. Some people define marriage as a legal and spiritual union, or a union between 2 people who love and care about one another, and that would not necessarily include sex. It could be same sex. So people have different definitions. And then the last paper we do will be argument, which is a pro and con paper looking at an issue, and you have to look at both sides. And like I said, that opposing viewpoints is a great place to look in EBSCOhost. Well, actually, EBSCOhost or LexisNexis, but opposing viewpoints is also at our library site. So the paper, like I said, the small town paper will be due here by the end of February. We'll do the definition paper during the month of April, and then, or March, excuse me, and the argument paper during the month of April. And so that's it, and I am out of time. Thank you.